A huge problem in gaming that a lot of people don't really realize is input delay. Input delay is the time it takes between pressing a button and actually seeing an action happen on screen. The lower the input delay, the better and more responsive your games will feel. So let's get into it. What's up everyone, my name is Lethal, and in today's video I'm going to give you some of the best ways to lower your ping and input delay in Fortnite. If this upload helps you, make sure to leave a like and definitely subscribe for more videos like this. There's a lot that has to happen between the time you perform an action and the time it takes before that action happens in an online game. In a nutshell, first your controller or input device has to send a signal to your console or PC. That signal is then received and processed and then sent as data to the game server, which has a slight delay. The time delay between your device and the server is called ping, which can be higher or lower depending on your distance from that server. The icing on the cake is that the average human reaction time to visual stimuli is about 250 milliseconds. A decent server ping is about 30 to 60 milliseconds, we'll go with 30. Then there's the average input delay of a next-gen console, which is around 30 milliseconds. Not to mention, the input delay while using a standard TV is about 30 milliseconds. Finally, you can add about 3 to 5 milliseconds if you're using Wi-Fi. All in all, that's pretty much a third of a second between the time that something happens in game and your reaction time to it. This can make a huge difference, especially in situations where enemy players have much lower input delay than you. So here are some of the best solutions to that problem. Number 1. Use an Ethernet cable. The number one thing that will help improve your gaming experience right away is switching from using Wi-Fi to using an Ethernet cable. A direct Ethernet cable connection is not only capable of higher speeds, but it's also much more reliable. Plugging your console or PC directly to your router will give it priority over other devices connected by Wi-Fi. When using Ethernet versus Wi-Fi, you will notice in games that your ping is slightly lower, and the connection will feel smoother and more stable. But what are the downsides? Well, for one, if your console or PC isn't in the same room as your router, you may have to relocate the router, console or PC, or both. You can also just buy a really long Ethernet cable. They come in various lengths. At the most, 25 feet or even 50 feet should be okay, worst case. Number 2. Use a wired connection for your controller. The second thing you can do to lower input delay is to use a wired connection for your controller. This might sound a bit inconvenient, but there is a noticeable difference between using your controller wirelessly and using it while wired via USB. A wireless connection comes with the convenience of being portable. You don't have to worry about tripping over cords, and you can pretty much sit as far away from your screen as you like. A wired connection, on the other hand, is going to provide you with a much faster response time, and it will also keep you from having to constantly charge your controller or to replace batteries in the middle of games. The difference between the wired and wireless connection is about 10 milliseconds. In addition to wiring your controller, the quality of your controller can also make a difference. For example, buying an Elite or Scuf controller with custom triggers can help you to be able to aim and shoot slightly faster due to the trigger travel distance being shortened. Obviously, this can cost a lot more than your standard controller, but if you're serious about gaming, it's probably worth the investment, especially because it will last a lot longer with heavy use. And if you're on PC, I'll briefly mention that you have the option to overclock your controller. Overclocking your controller on PC is a process that lets you fully unlock the potential of your device. Basically, overclocking your controller increases the polling rate, which in turn will slightly improve the input response time. And yes, it's perfectly safe. Number 3. Use a gaming monitor. Next is switching from using a regular TV to using an actual gaming monitor. The difference between a gaming monitor and your average TV is that TVs come with a lot of extra features that have nothing to do with gaming, like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and built-in apps. This can seriously drive up the cost of the display. Gaming monitors, on the other hand, are geared more toward, you guessed it, gaming. They generally come with less bells and whistles when you're shopping for a good price. While some TVs have features like game modes that can give you slightly better response times, a gaming monitor is going to do the job so much better, even to the point of having less than 1 millisecond delay. In addition to having lower input delay, many gaming monitors can display higher frame rates than your standard television. If you've never used a high refresh rate display, the difference will simply blow your mind. Take for example the difference between 60 FPS and 30 FPS. In this example, 60 FPS is noticeably smoother, and you're getting much more information than with 30 FPS. A high refresh rate gaming monitor that can display at least 120 frames per second will be about the same price or even cheaper than a TV that only has a 60Hz refresh rate. But you will also need a console or PC that can produce those frames. This is important to know because the latest gen consoles are capable of producing 120 FPS, while many PCs can go even higher depending on the specs. It would be a waste to be getting such high frames per second on a TV that can only display 60Hz. If you have a next gen console but only a 60Hz display, you will only be able to view your games at 60 FPS instead of the 120 frames that your console is capable of sending. Number 4. Train your reaction time. The biggest part of the problem when it comes to online gaming is your own reaction time. As I mentioned in the intro, the average reaction time is about 250 milliseconds or a fourth of a second. Some people, however, can boast a reaction time of about 150 milliseconds. This is a huge advantage over the average player. But don't be disappointed if you can't reach this. A reaction time of 200 milliseconds or lower is still better than usual. A quick way to test the reaction time is by using the human benchmark reaction test. I'll put the link in the description. The lowest I was able to score in just a couple of tries was around 165 milliseconds, which is actually outstanding, so try it out and see where you're at. So one really big thing you can do to help your reaction time is to drink plenty of water, eat healthy, and exercise. Also make sure that you're getting a good night's rest as often as possible. Taking care of your physical and mental health should be the highest priority. I really can't emphasize that enough. The more healthy you are, the better and more consistently you will perform in games, hands down. Along with that, you should definitely look into aim training. Proper aim training helps your brain to know what to look for and to build muscle memory so that you can perform set actions faster. It's really a case of practice makes perfect, and it can seriously help you to bring out your full potential. If you're on console and you can't download an aim trainer, you can always find some creative maps such as Raider 464's aim course. The more you aim train and even practice things like building and editing, the faster you will become at it. That way, when you need to do something quickly, you won't have to slowly think your way through it. Overall, you're going to want the lowest input delay possible so that you can perform well in games. Getting a gaming monitor and using your controller in wired mode are going to give you a very noticeable improvement, along with switching from Wi-Fi to using an Ethernet cable. While this alone won't make you all of a sudden start winning, it's one really big step you can take to drastically improve your gaming experience. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope that what I've told you has helped in some way. I have other Fortnite related content on my channel, so if you haven't already, check out my other videos. I hope you have a great day and we'll see you next time.